Hey guys, I know you've probably seen one of these before. It's a Bazooka tube. I think it's a 6.5 in there, and it's on one end, and then the the port comes all the way down the top from the other side. I got this at the dump the other day. It's made by Southern Audio Services. Pretty hefty wires. It does take a little bit of pretty good bit of juice to run this thing. It's powered. Here's the amplifier circuit. Runs in your car, 12 volts. And here is, it's got low level and high level ends here. And this plug goes into there, and then there's a pot to change your level of output of the bass. It just adds a little thump to your car. Sounds good with country music. You don't necessarily have to listen to medium-sized Wayne or any of those guys to make it sound good. Pretty thick wires, look like 16 gauge or maybe 14 gauge, I think it says right there, but I don't feel like looking at it. Yeah, they're 14 gauge. It's free. I was looking at the amp, and everything I usually get works. Okay, we struck out here. The main amplifier chip is under there on the sink there, and it's fried, it smells burned. And when I hooked up some power to it, I hooked up one of my DeWalt batteries because I don't have a good DC power supply, one that was down to about 14 volts, which this thing is made to run up to like 15 volts. It drew so much current that the gator clips got hot. I ran it through this ammeter here, and it pegged it. It says 30 amps, but it pegged it immediately. So the chip says the part number is SAS ELA. I'm sure that's a part number, not the actual chip. The other chips here look like they're Texas Instruments, but there's a bunch of nice capacitors in here. I guess those are metal film caps there. 104K at 100 volt, and I got a ton of those. But there's some nice 10s in there at 50 volt, and some couple nice resistors. I'm gonna, I guess, take these out. The little driver transistors there actually do work. Check good on my checker. 2M3904. There's several of those, and then a bunch of little caps. And don't look like the highest quality caps, but there's some 47 micro at 50 volt, which are good. Most of these are Japanese. I think those are Nichicons. They're the blue ones. The black ones are Noecons. Or I ain't got no con. A couple of big resistors. I guess those are 1 watters or 2 watts. I'll get those out of there. This is not worth fixing. But the speaker, I believe, it does work. So what I'm going to do is run these out and have to use a separate amp with it. I got the Sony down here, so now I've got one for each channel to run with the Wharfdales over there, because they need a little bit of sub. I don't know what they run, probably down to 70 hertz or maybe a little less, but this goes down way below, down like 40 hertz, 30 hertz. It's patented. I believe this is some kind of fiberglass plastic stuff. It's plastic actually, but they do sound pretty good. So I'm not going to be able to use the amp. But I thought you might like to see what was inside of this Bazooka tube. Nice thick, looks like FR4 boards there, military spec, really nice. And those pins there is where the speaker plugs in. And then I was thinking about using this and making my own tube or something, modifying that. And then I have this one here, which, as you can hear, it's pretty low. Watch, very low, very tough. Really heavy coil on it. It's a Sony. It's alright. I think it's rated at like 70 watts. So I was going to put them both maybe facing each other in this thing somehow and wire them 180 out of phase, which would give you a stereo, which you'd have an output for using a power amp with it, just like a little 50 watt amp. And you wire them out of phase and reverse the pins on one of them. So one's pushing and one's pulling. They go together instead of fighting, and you can use them in one box and port it. So I think that's going to be a project we're going to work on here. Sorry guys, I'm not doing a whole lot of tube stuff right now. I'm aggravated because I can't find the 6A7. A friend of mine was looking at helping me find the capacitors for the Philco, but can't really afford it right now. I know they're expensive. And it's got 3 of those big cans in it, and I'm sure those things are $20, $30 a piece, even though they're a lot smaller. I'm going to keep those in there, but anyway, there's an update. This thing actually does sound pretty decent. The Bazooka tube. Thanks for watching. I'll have more coming up. Thanks.